Welcome to this video tutorial where I'm quickly introducing the three Excels that you need to fill out in order to successfully create a questionnaire and the description around the questionnaire, which is embedded in a study. So what you can see here is there are three files, and the first file, the description of the study, is kind of a meta file where you describe the study that you will do. So you have here a study name where you can give a name to your study, which is here, the last name of the study was oncology. And then you have a short German title of the study, which is recognized by the ISO2 language codes DE. So you have basically two columns for the German language and here two columns for the English language. And this title will show up in the app when you can choose the study that you will do. And the description here is the description of your study, and it's not limited in length. So this can be as long as you want, and it will also show up in the app. And as I already told, if you have multiple languages for your study, you can add a English description as well, or if you say, let's say you want some France as well, you can just copy paste the two columns here and add them in here and say, okay, this will be, for example, an Italian description and an Italian title, like that. And this is not necessary, but just for your own eyes, so you see, okay, there is another language coming up. If you recognize those purple things here in the corner of the cell, then you will see I added a short comment on that, so which might help you filling out the cells. So we'll quickly remove the Italian language again because we don't need that now. So this is it for the description of the study. Now we came to the description of the questionnaires, which you can see here. So the name of the questionnaire here that you can see here is an internal name. So when the data is saved into our database, then we will find the answers belonging to that questionnaire under that name. The patient or the user will not see that name. However, what the user will see again is the title and the description of the questionnaires. The description of the questionnaires, they should be short. We wrote here maximum 200 characters, and it describes the questionnaire and an overview for the user when he will open the questionnaire answer in order to answer the questions. Now we come to the more interesting parts. Is multiple. That simply means whether a questionnaire can be filled out several times by the same user. If you have a medical background, the baseline questionnaire usually collects data from a patient or user that is not changeable, or that does not change, for example, like sex, the age or date of birth, the country of origin, education level, things like that. So these are baseline characteristics that you usually collect from each patient, and within the follow-up questionnaires, you collect data that changes. For example, like the mood of a patient, or the level of sport that he or she did in the last period. Here, the is multiple Boolean question is set on false because the baseline questionnaire shows up only once, and the follow-up questionnaire is a multiple questionnaire, so that's why it shows that it's true. And the schedule here, I made some suggestions. So usual schedules are weekly or daily or monthly or 2 weekly. You can put something in here. And if we have questions, for example, okay, should be the questionnaire weekly after the first time the patient filled up the baseline questionnaire, that can be done. Or if you say, no, it should show up every Monday at 8 a.m., then that's also possible. So you can just write down what you want here. It should not be too complicated. And of course, you need a title and a description of the follow-up questionnaire as well. And if you have more than 2 different questionnaires, which can be the case sometimes, then you just copy paste a row here, add it here, and say, okay, this is another questionnaire, for example. So now that we have seen the description of the whole study and the single descriptions of each questionnaire, I can show you how to actually create a questionnaire using that Excel logic. So now I will show the biggest file and the most complicated one. This is the questionnaire file, and don't be overwhelmed. We will go through each and every detail so you will understand it step by step. A questionnaire has basically, and I will show this here, 4 element types. And those element types are text element types, and a headline, which is basically text and fat formatting, a question, and a page break. A page break you can use, for example, if you have several questions that you want to do a group into a specific topic, and you want the next question, for example, to show on a new page because there's a kind of a section. So within the headline and the text elements, you can see here. So for example, this is a classic text element where it says welcome. Oh, sorry, that was not my attention. Welcome, thanks that you take your time and to answer some questions. And if you want this, for example, to be a header, I recommend to do it shorter than that text. You can just say, okay, I want this to be a headline, and then it becomes a headline. So here it's a page break, so all the other cells just they stay empty. So there's a welcome text here, and then there will be a page break. So, and this is a headline here, saying that there will be now some personal questions to the patient's identity. So now we come to the maybe most important parts, the questions. There are different kinds of questions that you can ask, and the most easy or the most classic question is a single choice question, where, for example, the question about sex here, which is the variable name here, can be either female, male, or diverse. So this is what the patient actually sees and can choose from the questionnaire. And these are the keys that will be saved about that. So if you have 4 answer possibilities here, you just need another key here. So that could be a 3, for example. So this is it for the single choice question, and I think there's a multiple choice. No, there's no multiple choice here, but for example, if you want a question to be a multiple choice, you just simply change the type here to multiple choice, and then the patient here could, doesn't make sense here, but he or she could also type male and female. So this will become a multiple choice question. The text date question is a question type that we recommend for if you want to collect some dates, for example, the birth date, and from the birth date you can calculate the age of the patient by the time he or she filled out the questionnaire. You could also, of course, ask for the patient's age, but we don't recommend that. We recommend using the text date. So the patient will have there will be a pop-up where the patient can say, okay, this month, this date, and this year, and then you have it in the same format, and you can calculate anything you want from it. The knock question you can imagine as a thing where the patient can slide, so it's kind of a wheel that turns, and This is a question where we actually ask for the age in years. So there will be a number saved which starts from 18 until 120. So if the patient is older than 120 years, there is a cap at 120. And the step is 1 year. The step could also be, for example, 0.5. Then the patient could say, I'm 26.5 years old, but in this case we say no, 1 year is granular enough. The required field that you see here simply asks whether this question is required or not. So if the patient does not have answered that question on that page, he or she cannot continue within the questionnaire. So we recommend to put this field always on true unless you have no good reason in making this question optional. Because if you have optional questions, you have missing values, and if you have missing values, you need a missing value treatment, which can be really time consuming. So the question country here is a special question because the single choice NOP question is similar to a NOP question where the patient can actually choose from a list that will show up, but the list must be saved in a different file. So if you want a single choice NOP question that is different from the country, for example, you have a single choice question where there are lots of answer possibilities, let's say 20, then this question is useful. But if you have that question, then you can also come back to us and we'll advise you on how to do that. Actually, it's but the country question here we usually ask every time, so there are no answer possibilities here because the answer possibilities are saved in a separate file. The question family status needs every keys that are available here. If you have more than 7 answer possibilities, then we recommend on switching to the single choice NOP instead of the single choice. But again, please pay attention to if you have 7 keys here, like key 1 to key 7, then also ensure that you have 7 answer possibilities here in each language. The yes/no switch question is just like a single choice, but the UI, so the user interface, so it is just like a slider where you can put from yes to no. That's it. But it's basically a single choice question. Just the appearance is different. So the question that we ask here is, do you like pizza? And the patient can say yes or no. The slider question is a slider where the patient can put his finger on a scale, and here the scale goes from 1 to 10 in a step of 1. So this is similar to a knob, but the knob is a turning wheel and this is a slider with a range. So the question we ask here is on a scale from 1 to 10, I think how much do you like pizza? The special thing here is that sometimes it's not clear whether 1 is the best option or 10. Grades in school, 1 is the best option and 6 is the worst, and here on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 is the best. And you can use some smileys also to show up the mood or the intention, what is good or what is best. So this could also be worst. This could be best, but here we made some smileys. And if you want those smileys, you can just Google for them. They're available, for example, here from Wikipedia. You can choose an emoji that you like, and then you can just copy paste it into the file. As you can see here, this is not single choice or multiple choice or yes/no question, so you don't need keys here because the keys are defined here. So if there are numbers, then there must not be numbers and vice versa. Text string questions and text area questions are questions where the patient can type in an answer. We do not, generally we don't recommend to do that because if you have multiple languages, then you need, if you want to evaluate those questionnaires, people that can actually speak that multiple languages. Okay, I think this is it. In the end, we have just some another single choice questions. Maybe the most important part, if your questionnaire is longer than that, you can just copy paste a whole line and add it here, and the questionnaire will be longer. So this is the way we recommend to do that. Just copy paste and the questionnaire will be longer. So I haven't said anything about the sheets here because an Excel sheet can have multiple sheets, and a new sheet here means a new questionnaire. So this is the baseline questionnaire, this is the follow-up questionnaire. It basically works the same. Just if you want to add a new questionnaire, basically I would recommend to make a copy of it so you have all the meta files, etc. already in your sheet. So you would make a copy here. We delete that, and then you can rename it. So, and then you can add things, add questions, etc. Okay, so this is it. If you have any questions in filling out the questionnaire, I'm happy to help you. I can answer some questions, and then I wish you much success in creating the 3 Excel files, and then you can send them to us and we will create the app for you.